The dark collapse of the Prince Group, colluding with CCP state security and crossing U.S. red lines. In recent times, for ordinary Chinese people, the most shocking event aside from the fourth plenary session has been the earth-shattering case of the Prince Group being taken down in one fell swoop by the U.S. Department of Justice. Half a month ago, the United States formally indicted Cambodia's largest Chinese-funded enterprise, the Prince Holding Group, and its chairman Chen Zhi, accusing them of operating a massive transnational telecommunications fraud network involving forced labor, torture, money laundering, bribery, and human trafficking. Approximately $15 billion in Bitcoin assets were seized, and more than £100 million worth of 19 luxury properties in London were frozen by the UK. Founder Chun Xi has been globally wanted. 146 suspects and entities linked to the Prince Group were added to the U.S. Treasury Department's sanctions list. Even more surprising is that this group, notorious for pig butchering, telecom fraud, and human trafficking, actually controls the world's top Cuban cigar company, Habanos, whose largest market for cigar output is precisely China. These revelations have exploded like heavy bombs, shaking the entire Chinese-speaking world. The inside story of the Prince Group is being uncovered and continues to ferment. Everything is just beginning. Today is November 9th, Eastern U.S. time. I am Tang Jingyuan. Welcome to subscribe to our channel. You will not only know what happened, but also why it happened. As is well known, the Prince Group is located in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, not far from China, practically right under Beijing's nose. Why was this gigantic telecom fraud empire not investigated by China's state security or public security, but instead taken down wholesale by the Americans? Why does China claim to be the world's #1 in anti-fraud crackdowns, yet allow the largest fraud den to run rampant right at its doorstep? Even more puzzling, on such a sensational major case, CCP official party media like Xinhua, CCTV, and People's Daily have collectively fallen silent. The telecom fraud ringleader Chun Xi is described in the U.S. indictment as the helmsman of a criminal empire that imprisons laborers, uses electric shocks for abuse, and manipulates 76,000 social media accounts to carry out pig butchering scams. Yet in domestic Chinese media portrayals, Chun Xi is a charitable entrepreneur, ambassador of China-Cambodia friendship, and rising economic star. In 2021, Xinhua's Economic Reference News ran a lengthy report on Chun Xi receiving an International Business Award, praising him for being enterprising and daring to take responsibility. CCTV programs claimed it boosted the China-Cambodia economic miracle, with local media packaging it as a model for Chinese enterprises going global. As recently as August this year, local government delegations visited Phnom Penh to learn from the Prince Group's successful experience. Photos of Red Cross visits were widely disseminated. In my program on October 16th, I briefly introduced the U.S. court indictment. The New York court's indictment against the Prince Group mentions that Chun Xi and his associates used political influence to shield their fraud operations from intervention by law enforcement in multiple countries, including China's Ministry of Public Security and Ministry of State Security. Prince Group executives once bribed public officials to obtain internal intelligence ahead of law enforcement raids on fraud parks. This explicitly points out that the CCP's Ministry of State Security and Ministry of Public Security were escorting the Prince fraud operations. In fact, the indictment only lifts a corner of the Prince's true face. Today, let us conduct a thorough expose of the Prince Group's rise to power. Who is Chun Xi, and what is the Prince Group's relationship with the CCP? How did Chun Xi go from a small-town network administrator to a $100 billion telecom fraud empire? Many stories about this have circulated in online media. But today I share with you a completely new perspective, filling in key parts that narratives have intentionally or unintentionally avoided. First, to clarify, all introductions on Chun Xi's registered company websites, such as calling him a business genius who assisted his father's family enterprise, are carefully packaged lies to cover up his inglorious origins and capital. Chun Xi is simply a rural kid who never finished junior high. Born in December 1987 in Shaoxing Village, Xiao Town, Lianjiang County, Fujian Province. In the late 1990s, online games swept China, and internet cafes in Lianjiang County boomed, especially. Chun Xi spent every day immersed in cyber cafes playing games, dropping out before completing junior high. He initially worked as a network administrator at the Hongli Internet Cafe in the county town, peddling game currency, and a few years later went to Shanghai. It is said he met a noble person in Shanghai who guided him, learning programming and becoming a computer expert. However, he did not take the righteous path, but engaged in internet black industries to make money, such as running private game servers, privately built pirated game servers, cracking official game servers, and assembling hacker teams to attack websites for others. This earned him his first bucket of black gold. In 2009, Chinese police began cracking down on internet black industries. The 22-year-old Chen Zhi, fearing arrest, fled to Cambodia with his money, claiming to invest in real estate. But his earliest company record in Cambodia is the 2011 establishment of Xinhing Real Estate Company, which appeared to be a shell. What Chun Xi actually did to make money remains a mystery. In 2014, Chun Xi spent $250,000 to obtain Cambodian citizenship. In 2015, Chun Xi's Prince Group emerged out of nowhere. But strangely, in early CCP official propaganda, the Prince Group was a creation of Shenzhen entrepreneur Qiu Guoxing, with no mention of Chun Xi. What is going on here? In 2019, Qiu Guoxing, as the entrepreneur who successfully built the Prince Group, said in an interview with China Net's Haixia channel, he went to Cambodia on March 1, 2015, and the Prince Group was established on March 9th. In just 3 short years, Qiu Guoxing developed the Prince Group into 8 major landmark projects, including Prince Central Plaza and Prince Fishing Port. In 2017, Qiu Guoxing founded the Min Khmer Industrial Park in a neighboring area of Phnom Penh, covering nearly 250,000 square meters, which became a physical platform docking Fujian's Belt and Road projects. By 2018, the Prince Group had expanded into an international flagship conglomerate focused on real estate development with multi-industry synergy, owning 30 secondary subsidiaries and institutions. Prince Club, supermarkets, and major hotels were all successfully operating, with influence expanding beyond Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville. At this time, the Prince Group was known to virtually everyone in Cambodia's business and political circles, as well as ordinary Phnom Penh citizens. Between 2016 and 2019, CCP national-level media, such as Global Times, Xinhua, People's Daily, CCTV News, and Guangming Net repeatedly reported on Qiu Guoxing's Prince Group, shaping it as a model enterprise for Chinese capital going global under the Belt and Road banner. It was during this period that Chun Xi's name began to cautiously surface in the media. In a 2018 report on the Prince Real Estate Group's New Year gathering, it explicitly mentioned that Prince Real Estate Group Chairman Chen Zhi Nabbed attended the banquet, though he did not appear on camera. In November 2018, the Prince Holding headquarters building was completed. Prince Real Estate Group is a subsidiary under Prince Holding responsible for real estate development. And this Prince Holding Group is the very name of Chun Xi's pig butchering fraud group recently indicted by the U.S. So, would CCP departments like State Security and the United Front not know that Chun Xi is the real mastermind behind the Prince Group? What is the relationship between Qiu Guoxing and Chun Xi? According to public information, Qiu Guoxing was born in 1970 in Xiaiyou Town, Lianjiang County, the same township as Chun Xi. He dropped out at age 13, went to Shenzhen at 19, and was a stone merchant for over 20 years. Online sources say Qiu Guoxing is Chun Xi's brother-in-law or a relative. Regardless, their relationship is visibly extraordinary. Neither had any standout business success, yet they could invest massively and donate in Cambodia, with Chun Xi extravagantly lavish. Where did the enormous funds come from? According to the U.S. Department of Justice's 2025 indictment, starting in 2018, the Prince Group averaged over $30 million in daily profits from pig butchering, a cryptocurrency scam, and related illegal gambling, with annualized revenue of about $11 billion, nearly one-third of Cambodia's GDP that year. These funds were laundered, including through cryptocurrency mining and online gambling platforms to disperse and reorganize funds, ultimately converted to cash and deposited in banks. This indictment reveals a corner of the astonishing truth about Prince's wealth. On one side, Qiuguoxing legitimately dominated real estate on the surface, with CCP media adding luster to the Prince Group. On the other, Chun Xi paved the way with money, secretly advancing in Cambodian politics. With the Prince Group chairman title, Chun Xi used investments and donations, such as for Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen's birthday, as entry points, first connecting with two major Cambodian figures. One was Su Swoca, son of Cambodia's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Interior. The other was Hun Du, Hun Sen's nephew. In 2017, Chun Xi and Su Swoca jointly established Jinbei Company, opening a Jinbei casino that attracted large numbers of Chinese gamblers and was once called a Little Macau. Also in 2017, the Shenzhen Stock Exchange signed a strategic cooperation agreement with Bank of China to promote Belt and Road cross-border capital services. This gave wings to Cambodian online gambling, pig butchering, and money laundering. With Hun Du's help, Chun Xi's Prince Bank, established 3 years earlier primarily for microloans, obtained a formal license, gaining a foothold in Cambodia's financial sector. Chun Xi's Huiwang Money House also emerged at this time, becoming Cambodia's savings and payment giant a few years later, known as Cambodia's Alipay. Hun Du nominally took over this money house. In 2018, Hun Du, as deputy governor of Sihanoukville province, personally cut the ribbon for the Prince Happiness City project and approved 10 technology parks, in reality, fraud parks. In October this year, the U.S. Department of Justice accused Huiwang Money House of being one of Chun Xi's and even Southeast Asia's main money laundering tools for black-gray industries, placing it on the investigation list. Hun Du is also wanted. In 2018, Sihanoukville gambling and telecom fraud exploded. Thousands of Chinese were lured in under job recruitment or WeChat friendship pretexts, had passports confiscated, were kidnapped, extorted, forced into fraud, or murdered. After 2020, Chun Xi's telecom fraud techniques fully shifted to cryptocurrency online investment, with pig butchering, fraud, and money laundering becoming more sophisticated. Targets expanded from mainly Chinese to international markets, including Europe and America. The U.S. indictment states, the Prince Group set up at least 10 parks in Cambodia, with a shocking scale of crime. The parks featured phone farms. Just 2 parks had 1,250 phones controlling 76,000 fake accounts. These people lived like in prison, forced to perform love and friendship scams on screens, building false trust with victims to induce massive investments, completing the so-called pig butchering. If laborers refused to comply, then various tortures. It is not that no one exposed it, but the CCP did not act. An obvious question. 4 years, the Prince Group ran unchecked, named by the U.S. government as one of Asia's largest transnational crime groups. How could a young kid from Fujian with no background or qualifications mix so successfully in a communist country like Cambodia? Why did the Hun Sen family trust him so much? The U.S. indictment explains, he is the CCP's man. Cambodia gave face to the CCP. The reason Chun Xi's business empire expanded rapidly is that the CCP's Ministry of Public Security and Ministry of State Security stood behind him. While Chun Xi expanded territory in Cambodia, making friends and opening political business channels, he laid intelligence and influence networks for the CCP locally. A former CCP Public Security First Bureau agent using the alias Eric disclosed on the X platform that Prince Group Chairman Chen Zhi has close ties with high officials in the CCP state security and public security systems and is a deeply complicit partner of the CCP. Eric, posing as a Prince Group subsidiary executive, was invited to a Tibetan government-in-exile event and received by the Dalai Lama. He said there is a mysterious private club in Phnom Penh called Yinshin Pavilion, where secret meetings often ran all night. Eric remembers one night when national security high officials from Beijing and Chongqing discussed at Yinxian Pavilion how to deal with the overseas exiled cartoonist Rebel Pepper Wang Liming. The Prince Group handled all transportation, meeting hospitality, etc. Eric clearly remembers the scene that night. Golden sofa cushions, high-end tea sets. Chen Zhi, in a white shirt and smiling obsequiously, was speaking softly to a CCP Public Security Ministry high official called Brother Long, tone full of flattery, hoping the ministry would accommodate some of his affairs. At that moment, Eric realized the Prince Group was not merely cooperating with the CCP, but was part of it. Yinxian Pavilion was more like a temporary intelligence center. Eric also stated that the CCP intelligence system has always followed the principle of nurturing intelligence through commerce, win-win for business and intelligence, using commercial activities to fund and cover intelligence work. The Prince Group's existence is essentially to provide comprehensive support for CCP secret operations through a commercial shell, from funds and manpower to transportation, serving as the CCP spy system's treasury and logistics base. The U.S. Treasury's latest sanctions document further uncovers Chun Xi's vast overseas black money and red line network, with every clue ultimately pointing to Beijing. The U.S. determines Chun Xi has direct ties to Macau Triad 14K leader Yin Guizhu. This Yin Guizhu, nicknamed Broken Tooth Jew, later transformed into the head of the modern Hung Mun Association and is also a major shareholder in the Northern Myanmar Telecom Fraud Group, KK Park. Yin Guizhu has direct connections to the CCP United Front Work Department. Insiders reveal that the overall backer of Myanmar fraud parks is Duan Zhongli, who superficially runs a security company in Yangon with armed subordinates, but is actually a protection fee-collecting gangster. Above Duan Zhongli is Geng Zhan, son of former Vice Premier Geng Biao. Geng Biao once had Xi Jinping as his secretary, and the Geng Xi families are very close. Geng Ziyuan became president of the China-Myanmar Friendship Association in 2015, specifically handling Myanmar United Front work. Insiders also emphasize that in the CCP's Belt and Road Plan, those truly in charge are second-generation Reds. In state security, those truly in charge are also second- and third-generation Reds. Speaking of Myanmar fraud parks, in early January this year, Chinese actor Wang Xing mysteriously disappeared after going to Thailand with a film crew and ended up as a telecom fraud slave. The incident fermented fiercely due to social media exposure, and Wang Xing was eventually rescued and returned home. At the end of that month, CCP Public Security Vice Minister Liu Zhongyi publicly stated in Bangkok that there are 36 large telecom fraud groups operated by Chinese and Mayawati alone, and the founder of the Asia-Pacific New City, currently detained in Bangkok's Ditch Valley, Shi Zhejiang, is the CCP government's #1 wanted telecom fraud fugitive, hoping to extradite him for trial in China. This Asia-Pacific New City is another Belt and Road project. Shi Zhejiang was arrested by Thai authorities in Bangkok in August 2022 and is currently detained in Thailand. In 2023, he recorded a video from prison, publicly confirming he was a former CCP state security agent, firmly denying operating fraud parks, claiming he was framed and persecuted by the CCP, publicly breaking with the CCP, and emphasizing he would never commit suicide. At the time, a knowledgeable Mr. Lee who had lived in Mayawati revealed to media that Asia-Pacific Group and KK, Dongmei, etc. fraud parks are often confused by outsiders, but they are actually two different places dozens of kilometers apart. Asia-Pacific Group mainly operates casinos, and after developing properties for rent/sale, there are many privately run porn venues, even construction companies, large malls, luxury hotels, and money houses. He said, although Asia-Pacific New City has gray industries like gambling, it has no telecom fraud. It mainly belongs to downstream consumption industries of telecom fraud. I once did a news program on Asia-Pacific New City and obtained a public statement of Shi Zhejiang's position and judicial request. The statement again emphasizes that although Asia-Pacific New City has gray industries, it is not the telecom fraud headquarters, as CCP propaganda claims. Shi Zhejiang has been publicly sanctioned by the U.S., so he voluntarily accepts extradition and trial by the U.S. judicial system, hoping the U.S. and Thai authorities immediately initiate extradition procedures and accept any sentence from the U.S. judicial system. Xi Jinping never hid his Asia-Pacific new cities and the CCP state security system's relationship. Regardless of the truth about Asia-Pacific new city and fraud parks, the telecom fraud industry and its derived upstream/downstream gray industries all depend on the Belt and Road for existence, with deep CCP state security backgrounds, almost without exception. This is already an open secret. The U.S. takedown of the Prince Group is not simply about defrauding Americans' money. The U.S. accuses it of cooperating with another CCP United Front organ, which may be the root cause of the Prince Group burning itself. According to the U.S. Treasury announcement, the Prince Group once conducted predatory investments in the Pacific island nation of Palau through its shell company Grand Legend and extended its fraud operations to the region. This shell company is affiliated under the CCP's local United Front peripheral organization, the Overseas Chinese Association. The association helped Chun Xi's Prince Group massively acquire land in Palau, mostly concentrated near key U.S. military infrastructure like Koror Port, the international airport, and radar stations. Palau is a key U.S. reconnaissance node in the second island chain, serving to restrict CCP military expansion in the Western Pacific. U.S.-built airports and radars on the island are crucial for monitoring sea and air domains. Yet this Chun Xi dared to move Earth on the Grand Duke's head, helping the CCP monitor U.S. forces up close and collect U.S. intelligence.